This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you, Alicia. Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30. Alicia has started the meeting, but she will not be able to participate tonight, so we're on our own. We'll call the meeting to order at 5:30. Do we have Steve Bedore and Nancy for board members on? Anyone else?
Joe Chrisman.
Okay, Joe. Okay, then we can move forward. The police report. Has the board members all looked at it? Anybody got any questions on that?
No, and it looks like it was a pretty slow 2 weeks.
Well, now Kevin, the police chief, has done the executive order 203 for performance and reinvention. That policy that the state mandated that we had to do, every police department in New York State, regardless of the size, the parameters are the same. So Kevin has prepared one, and he's done the, the survey. So next board meeting, which should be March 8th, he will be on the phone, and if anybody in the public or board members have any questions for Kevin, you can speak to him and tell him it's not a public hearing, it is a listening session. So be prepared for that, and Kevin will be available to hear what you have to say, and he can add it to his form that he had to prepare for the state. It's due 1st of April, I believe. Okay. Terry Jones.
Good evening, everybody. You all have a copy of my report. A lot of things happened since I wrote my report on Friday morning. If no one is aware of it, we had 4 water leaks over the weekend up in the Kinney's and the Castle area. Saturday evening, we worked till about 1 o'clock in the morning repairing 2 by the Castle, and then was awakened or got a call 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday that we had another leak up by Kinney's. We repaired that one and then turned the water on, and we had another one about 6 feet up from that. We've been in that section before. We've already repaired it. I believe it was like 7 years ago, and then there was another clamp on the section that we had just repaired yesterday. So the guys did a fantastic job. The water department, Dusty Orvis, he was in the ditch with Mike Bedore. Those guys worked furiously for, well, I think they had 16 to 17 hours of being wet and cold. And, I'm very proud of them. I know the board's very proud of them. And I think the residents of the village of Clayton definitely should be very proud of the product that they have at the DPW, because those guys they shined. It was amazing. And it came in Sunday morning and did it all over again. So I just want to reiterate what a fantastic job those guys did. I'm so proud of them. That is a suspect section. I've spoken with Rob Stevenson about it. Maybe it's something we can address and get that section of pipe replaced. It only affects the Kinney Drug Store and the Castle, but that's the only positive thing. But maybe we can get that fixed, maybe with our budget next year, or maybe there's some monies out there that we can find to repair that section. Obviously, it must either be, the pipe's been there since the 80s. Something between age and maybe it was some bad casting of pipe. Iron, which is lined with concrete, and the cast iron outside. So, but again, I just want to say what a great job they did. They just did a fantastic job in the elements.
Anything else, Terry?
Thank you. Also, thank you for all the goodies that everybody delivered. We got pizza delivered to us that night, and Mayor Zimmer delivered some donuts. John had his own box, and then the rest of the guys had some donuts. But I just, a very long weekend, and the guys worked very hard, very hard. On a positive note, the new truck is here. It's supposed to be delivered Friday. We did approve this back in, oh my gosh, I think it was November. It will be delivered on Friday. I also want everyone to know too that this is a reimbursement. So we pay for the truck up front, and then I turn that into our CHIPS program, which is a consolidated highway program, and we'll get reimbursed for the truck. So basically, it's a free truck. So that's a great thing. It's a beautiful truck. I sent a picture, I believe, to Nancy and Mayor Zimmer. It's white, and we'll get it lettered up, and then I've just got to get it registered and get it on the road. So
Is the plow on it, Terry?
the plow is on it, Norma. I sent you a picture of it too.
Oh, I guess I didn't see it yet. Okay.
Yeah, I just sent it to you about 10 minutes ago, so
Oh,
you may
well,
not have gotten it yet.
I'm not into that yet. I got a question for you on your report.
Yes.
Under sewers.
Yes.
And, okay. There was some tree roots on their side, and on our side, there is a belly on our side. What is that?
It's like the pipe has a little, well, best way I can explain it, a sag in it.
Oh,
And
okay.
so what's happening between the root issue and the belly, the stuff gets caught in there, and then it may lay in that saggy area. So once the weather breaks, our plan is she's going to have a contractor there. We'll do our part. They'll do their part. And so we can work together and get it repaired so they don't have any more stopped up sewers.
I just never heard that expression before.
Well, that's a technical term that we use.
Well, I bet it is. You and Nancy have offered to do the meeting on Wednesday with the school over the shared fuel station.
Yes.
And you're, okay. There was a little confusion on the time. Originally, it was 3 to 4. Then the next thing, it was 3:30, but they're back to 3 o'clock now. So I just didn't want that. Okay, so you're all set on that. All right.
Yep. I confirmed that appointment today.
Okay, that's great. And Terry, while you're on the phone, we have had some discussion with the state on making some changes in the traffic patterns in the historic district. And they weren't going to be able to do anything on James Street or Webb Street. They told us that before, and now their suggestion is to make John Street one way going south and Merrick Street one way going north. But that is only from Huguenin Street because that's within the scope of the project. If we want them to do any other things on those two roads, they would be glad to draw up the plan, but we would be responsible for getting it done. And I talked to Kevin for a minute yesterday, and Merrick Street is one way on the south end. So I just think it's going to be wicked confusing unless we do something with Merrick Street. I just want everybody to think about that before we, I don't think Todd realizes we have to have a public hearing on this. He thinks if we just say yes or no, they can do it, but it's got to have some more work done on it. But you got to think about that Merrick Street. I think it was originally done because of the fire station.
It was.
Made it one way, and I don't know why Kevin didn't have any problem with it either way, and doesn't really know why we never went back making that two-way after the fire station moved. Well, it's something for the board, and Terry, if you would think about, John Street was really pretty bad this past summer.
Yep. All right.
But we got to think about that before we put it out there for a public meeting. Does anyone have any, do you want to talk about snow on the sidewalks, Terry?
Sure, I can. for the most part, I mean, till February, things were pretty good because we weren't getting a lot of snow. But February, as everyone knows, there's been quite a bear, and I've had a lot of complaints. I've tried to address most of them. We've done some sidewalks. I've called some business owners, homeowners, and they have taken care of those. Of course, by the time I get to them, it snows again, so now you've got another event, so they have another 24 hours. I know, you know, it's tough to keep up with them, you know, especially now that we have a smaller crew. So by the time, you know, they get done plowing, then they have to go back out and try to take care of our sidewalks and then the crosswalks and of course our parking lots. And then I got to send them back out. So it's hard to address it as far as our department. The only thing I can do is just ask that everybody, you know, within 24 hours or they have 24 hours after a storm, and that's an opinion-based thing usually, but in most cases, get them cleared the best you can, and if you can't, you know, there's people out there that can, and I know Joe Chrisman, Trustee Chrisman, has a snow blower, and I think he's even told me that if anybody gives them a call and they can't get their snow, you know, their sidewalk cleared, he'd be more than happy to go over there and do that. So that's about the best answer I can give, and we're trying to keep up on it. Kevin and I looked at a few last week, but again, it just keeps snowing, so it's hard to keep up with them.
Absolutely. It's kind of amazing. The snow removal law was written in 1985, and it does say 24 hours after accumulation. And of course, that's an option. Everybody has a different idea when that time is. But recently, the Rotary Club had a meeting, and the president of it is our historian. And he gave a presentation about when the 1872, when Clayton was founded, and they had a rule, number 15, that 150 years ago they had issues with it. And by 10 o'clock in the morning, if you didn't have your sidewalk cleaned off, they came by and picked up $2. I don't know who enforced it, but there were 21 items that the night that they incorporated the village that they had to address. But I thought it was kind of ironic. We're still talking about it 150 years later, and we haven't got a plan that works.
I guess it falls on a lot of the homeowners. I mean, if they don't care that kids are walking out in the street, then you just can't fix that kind of, I guess, attitude. You know, I don't know. I'm one of those type of people that you get an inch of snow, I shovel. You know, and I know there's people out there that maybe handicapped or elderly and they can't get out, but there's people out there that do it, and there's a lot of people that would do it for free. So that's the best advice that I can give right now. And hopefully spring comes early and we won't have to talk about this much longer.
Well, Terry, this is Trustee Chrisman. Yes, if anybody has a problem, they're sick, they're hurt, elderly, or whatever, I don't have a problem snow blowing. I'm laid off, so I have all day. And I want to give a kudos to you and all your workers. It's not just bad enough being cold, but when you're wet and cold, you guys did a fantastic job. And I'm glad we got people like you working for the Village of Clayton.
Thank you, Joe. That appreciate that very much. And I'll pass the word on to the guys. I know you were up there today and gave them some accolades, so I appreciate that. And you too, Norma. Thank you.
Go ahead, Terry.
I just was thanking everybody for all their input and help and giving the guys, the accolades. That's all.
Does anyone else on the board have anything for Terry?
It's Nancy. I don't have anything for Terry per se. It's in reference to the snow shoveling. It was disappointing to see that one of the private/public parking lots has been closed off. People were rather very disappointed about that. and that all it takes is to have the sidewalk cleaned and the front entrance to the parking lot cleaned. And, you know, I thought that we've been such a good community to work together, and that parking lot is just so important for both, for the businesses that stay open in the wintertime. And that was just disappointing to see when I saw that this morning. And a number of businesses commented about it. And so I don't know what we can do. It was just disappointing to see. And the way they have it blocked off, if there's a fire back in there, it's gonna, I think it presents quite a few different problems. So hopefully everything goes well for the rest of the winter.
Does anyone else on the board have anything they want to offer? Okay, who's here, Star or Tom, going to talk to us from the sewer department, water sewer department?
This is Star. I think we also have Rob and Thomas on as well, but I'll start. So you guys, you have the monthly report for the water and sewer department. Did anybody have any questions on the report itself?
I didn't, Star. I guess my only question would be at LS 1A, the violations, did we get those cleaned up before the 19th?
So we are working on those. Rob is looking at some of the regulations and the requirements just to make sure that we're going to address them correctly.
Oh,
There weren't many problems, and a couple of them we've already addressed, like there was some flow arrows, and I think we've already put that stuff up there. But some of the requirements, we just want to make sure we understand what the requirement really is before we start installing a bunch of infrastructure in that station there. So yeah, Rob's been doing some research, and we have, I think, until mid-month next month to get things sorted out. So we've got a little bit of time, and I know Rob's working on that.
okay, thanks, Star.
And then attached to the monthly report, we've just had a couple of things that I just wanted to go over. One of them was the manhole inspection report. So if you read in there, you know, we did this a little differently this year using next-gen asset management software that actually allowed the guys to do the inspections on an iPad. So they were able to take a picture of the manhole they were inspecting and then just fill out a digital form. So it made, once they learned how to use the system, it made it go quickly. So we're looking forward to implementing that strategy going forward every year for the manholes that need to be inspected. And so you can see that in this time around, you know, most of the manholes are in good or fair condition, and there was 13 that required some kind of repair. Most of them, it was just cleaning that needed to happen. And then there were 4 that weren't inspected, and a couple of those were because they needed to be added to the GIS, or they were just missed in the field, and probably user error. They maybe had tried to do the inspection, but it didn't go through. So we'll just add those on to next year. But all in all, this inspection this year went very well once we got it going, and the new system works really nicely. So we'll keep going with that. And then the only other thing that I just wanted to touch on, you have it here on the agenda too, Norma, is I did submit the water and sewer annual EDU update report. So if you guys want to read through that and let me know if there's any feedback, mostly because of COVID, there is a reduction in the number of EDUs. And so we've gone down sewer EDUs by 81 EDUs, and then there's a decrease of 35 EDUs for the water. So that's something that we will take into account as we're moving forward. But a big portion of sewer EDUs was a reduction from the prison. They were down about half of their inmates last year. and they also didn't allow any visitors, so they had a big reduction in their usage last year, and so about half of those 380s are from the prison.
Star, I spent quite a bit of time looking this EDU, report out, and 41 up at Heritage Heights, it really is 43, because the town bills in January with their taxes, and they're the two people that are all set, and everything is done for them. Their house isn't done, they haven't really come online yet, but they've been billed for it, so I think we should change ours to 43. So we would be in agreement with what the town actually billed for.
Okay, I can make that change. That will change the numbers a little bit. So I'll make that change and I'll resubmit to you.
I didn't realize that there were any up there that weren't on the sewer, but because of their location, they're too far away from the system and they can't be on it. I didn't realize that until today.
Okay.
I don't know how, I know of one, but other than that, I don't know if there's any more or not.
Okay, I knew there was another property that hadn't been connected yet, but so I hadn't put them in here. But when I talked to Alicia about it earlier, so yeah, I'll make that correction and then I'll resubmit this.
Okay. Did the board have time to take a look at all the recommendations? Because it's our, we'll have to send out a letter and let everybody know what the changes are, and it'll be effective with their July water sewer bill. Not this one.
I looked through it and nothing jumped out at me that was significant. There was one, number 305 on Riverside Drive, that goes from 5 to 7. That seems to be a fairly large increase, but everybody else seemed to either stay the same or go down. So that looked fine to me.
Okay. Does the board want to approve it so that we can turn it into the village office and they can, after the water bills have gone out this time, Joanne can plan to send that information out? Do you want further discussion on it, or is it okay the way it is?
I think it looks fine to me.
Yeah.
I read through it.
Okay, so maybe let's make a motion, somebody, to accept the recommendations as submitted.
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second.
And you'll second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so you're all set on that. It was a great job, Star, to get that all sorted out.
Okay, yep, and I'll submit the version to you tomorrow, and I'll copy Alicia on it.
Okay. Do you want to talk us through these two resolutions that you want?
I think I might hand it over to Thomas if he's on the phone and ready.
And Norma, I can talk about those.
Okay, sure, that'd be great.
Norma, did you share the second one that I sent you this afternoon with the rest of the board?
Right, we had the one.
Yep.
The other one came in a little late, and I asked Joanne if she could put it on so we could get them both done tonight.
Okay. So, as part of the sewer project that Matt spoke about last month, there is some equipment that's being replaced in the system now with some newer equipment. And what we're requesting is to keep the same brand that the village currently utilizes for that equipment. So this is for the submersible pumps and the dry pit submersible pumps. The dry pit submersible pumps are located at Riverside Drive, and the submersible pumps will be installed at the wastewater treatment plant itself in some of the new areas in the new reconfiguration. And the village currently has a manufacturer called Xylem, and they would like the guys are used to working on those pumps, and we have some existing relationships with the vendors, and we'd like to continue that. And the same goes through for the air vacuum valves. The village has a number of these that are on the line from the correctional facility, and a new one is going to need to be installed from the force main that's from Riverside Drive to the wastewater plant. And we'd like to obviously keep the same manufacturer as what is on the Cape Vincent line. So that way, when they have to be maintenance, we don't need 2 or 3 of them, 2 or 3 different models at the plant. They can just use the same one. And that manufacturer is ARI valves.
And the timing of this is really good because we're working on the policy and procedure book, and we're really getting it narrowed down, and we can add these 2 items to it. So we'll be right up to date when we try to wrap that project up. Joanne, do you want to do resolution 2021-01 and get a vote on it?
Sure. Mayor Zimmer,
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Kellogg,
Yes.
Trustee Bador,
Yes.
and Trustee Chrisman.
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of the submersible pump one. Can we do the same, Joanne, for 2021? And it would be 02, right? For the air valves?
Yes, O2.
Okay.
Trustee, Mayor Zimmer,
Yeah. Yes.
Trustee Knight,
Yes.
Trustee Kellogg,
Yes.
Trustee Bador,
Yes.
Trustee Chrisman,
Yes.
Thanks for doing that, Joanne. Do we have anything that we want to talk to Star or Thomas about from the wastewater treatment plant? No. Is everybody on the board okay with where we're at on items 1, 2, and 3 for the wastewater treatment plant? If you're all okay, folks, thank you, Star. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, items 1, 2, and 3. The only thing I have on the meeting minutes on page 3, I believe it was, under the wastewater. Right, it's on page 1 in the minutes. For the boiler, the wastewater information on the boiler, it's a recirculation pump. We want to make sure that that's in there, that malfunction. Does anyone have, another thing I'd like to try, and I don't know if we've ever done it or not, Joanne, can we put the credit card on the prepays? So it doesn't have to wait until it gets into the cycle and gets, because we have to mail it, right?
We don't have any prepaid this time.
No, I'm just saying, you prepay National Grid, you prepay some bills. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
wonder if we couldn't put the credit card on that one and approve it at the next meeting like we do those. Because we have to mail it. You can't go to the bank and pay it here, right?
No, we have to mail them, but.
Right, and the mail is so slow now, and 10 days isn't enough to get anything anyplace. So
You would have to ask Tina, but I think for auditing purposes, she likes to have a check. Because when you use the credit card to start paying bills, it's hard to prove what you paid it for, and she just doesn't like it that way.
Well, my name is on the credit card. I don't want it paid late.
On the credit card bill?
Yeah. So, I don't know, I think we gotta figure out a way. I asked Tina if we couldn't put it on and pay it online, and she hasn't set that up, so we can do it that way. So I just thought an alternative would be to put it on the prepay ones. We gotta pay the credit card regardless of what's on it. And then
No, I know that, but it's never been an issue of being late before. I think it was late last time, and I called and they did take the late fee off. but it was a holiday. So I think it was late because of that. It was only one day late.
Well, one's enough.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it the way it is and see how it falls out, but I don't want a late credit card payment. If everybody's fine with items 1, 2, and 3, can I have a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motions for 1, 2, and 3.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so they're all set. On the capital projects, item 4, do we have any questions or issues? Can we have a motion then to approve all the capital projects?
I'll make that motion to approve.
Thanks, Nancy. And a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, that's taken care of. On the old business, we had this engagement letter last time that I wanted to check on. And this is for the single audit for USDA. And we talked about this before. It's mandatory. We have to do it. So if somebody would make a motion so we can sign that engagement letter, we can get that out this week.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Nancy second, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be in tomorrow
Aye.
night. Okay, thank you. And Joe, you were going to work on the Union Street fence issue we had. What have you got for us?
Yes, I got a hold of Doug Rogers because I went by the email what was said, and Doug is he doing a visual inspection, and Mr. Ingerson went down and did a manual inspection as well, and they're trying to figure out if it was in the minutes or it wasn't in the minutes, but they're going to get back with me when Mr. Ingerson and Mr. Rogers come to a resolution.
Joe, I've a little interjection there. I spoke with Richard today in reference to that.
Yep.
He said that on the section of the roof, and correct me with my my appropriate words, that there were the stakes, things were put up on the roof that were needed to help with the snow coming down. He didn't think, he felt that that Union Street had done what they were supposed to do. So I don't know that the only other thought that he had is that possibly Union Street could put more of them up.
Yeah.
But he didn't know if that would really make a difference.
Well, I went down and took a look, and they did put the spikes on the roof, but before the fence started, they stopped the spikes. They didn't follow through to the end of the roof. And I know Vicki was going to talk to them about that, if they can continue it, to see if it makes a difference.
Okay. All right, then we just need to make sure that continues that conversation. Okay.
Well, if I may, my fence, this is Christy Hunter. Here's my concern, is I don't believe they were installed properly and they're not adequate enough. I've let it go for years because Mr. Van Reenen promised me new fences years after year after year. And I don't think they're adequate for that roof. Or in the minutes, it said they wouldn't even bother my fence. And it's broken it every year except for last year. Well, you have to remember there was a storage unit there too.
So it
This
sounds like what we need to do is to have Richard have a conversation with Union Street and get additional spikes put up on the roof.
My
Correct.
question was, is the spikes are straight across. I thought they had to be like at tandem. They're not adequate enough. That snow comes down hard
Okay.
and fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, so you'll follow up with Dick Ingerson, right? Make sure he gets down there and talks to the
I
property.
sure will.
Okay,
And I'm trying to find that, Doug Rogers is trying to find, it was mentioned there was an agreement between the planning board and them. He's trying to find that in the minutes as well.
okay. Okay, so you're working on it, that's good. Okay, on the new business, everybody got the list from the Chamber of Commerce for the events that they're going to try and pull off this year? Did anyone have any issues with how they had them set up or what they were trying to do?
No, hopefully everything goes through and the COVID is at such a low that they can have all those events.
Well, they got to make some plans for it. They're more optimistic, I think, than some other people are. But you can't just overnight come around and try to find venues and all that. So she's just being proactive, and hopefully by
No,
the
I
time
agree.
that these happen, I don't think there's going to be any boat show. It hasn't been officially strapped yet, but I'm thinking it's not going to happen. Other than that, they're kind of moving forward. So it'd be okay to tell the chamber that we'll support what they're doing?
Sure.
Yes, it's fine with me. I think they're doing a good job for this upcoming summer. Yes.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
Yeah, it gives us hope that there is going to be something happening this summer. Okay, on this survey that Jefferson County asked us to put up on the broadband access, Joanne, could you put that on our webpage?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I think that's the only way we can bring it up here, and people are, I've seen it in the paper, and we'll put it on our webpage and have people take a look at it, because the more people that respond, I think the better luck we'll have in getting something done for them. So you can take care of that. And then the Methodist Church wants to have their Easter service down at Frink Park on the 4th. They've done it for a number of years, so I don't see any issue with that either. Does anyone else have an issue with that?
I have no problems with it.
No problem.
Okay, so we're all good. We can let them know that. Okay, Joanne, it's all up to you.
I don't have very much. I just wanted to keep you guys updated on the Pivot quarterly report. And also that the water bills are, I'm running reports, going over them with Leah from Unilink. And hopefully they will be mailed out by March 1st. That's my plan.
That's your goal, right?
That's my goal. So that's all I have.
Okay, we did have included in our package the Public Employee Health Emergency Plan. That was another executive order from the state that we had to do. And this is something that the committee worked on quite a bit, that met on Friday mornings for our policies and procedures. So I think it's been approved by the union, which it had to be. It's in good shape, I think. And Nancy, you worked all of those meetings, and Joe. So do you have any issues with moving forward and getting that resolution out to approve it so we can get it done?
No, I would move forward, Norma. I thought it was a very good document.
Yeah, and it's the same as the town, basically, so
Yeah.
that won't be confusing for the public. And
Yeah, I read through it all today and it looked great.
good. So Joey, do you want to do a roll call on this so that we can?
For both of them or just the emergency plan?
I think we need to do. It says approve our resolution on the front of it, and there wasn't a resolution attached to it. I didn't know if you had one. or we can just do a roll call vote.
Okay, Mayor Zimmer,
Yes.
Trustee Hyde,
Yes.
Trustee Bedore,
Yes.
Trustee Kellogg, and Trustee Christie.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to have done. And Joey, would you give us a little heads up on this telecommunicating policy that was included? And I don't have my copy.
Well, the purpose of the policy is to establish parameters for employees to work from home by telecommuting. For purposes of this policy, the Village of Clayton will be referred to as the village. So it has 13 things. You want me to read them all?
No, I don't know that you have to read them all. I mean, it's just for employees
Yeah.
and has to be union approved, and it has been the same thing for the town. So I think it's in good shape. And this would be another good thing to have in our policy and procedure book, because we're winding down on that, and the more things we have in it and done, and they won't get lost in the cracks through the next year. So I'd like to have approval to accept that telecommunicating policy, if somebody would make that motion.
I'll make the motion for telecommuting policy approval.
Thanks, Nancy. Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll
second it.
second it.
Okay, got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Okay. Nancy, you got anything you want to report on?
No, I don't. No. Everything's quiet. Thank you.
Anybody else got anything that they want to share with us? I want to remind the board that the budget meeting is at 9 o'clock, a workshop on the 12th of March from 9 till noon. So mark your calendar so you can participate in that. And we've got those financial disclosure policies that were sent out last week, and they're due on the 28th. So make every effort you can to get those in to Joanne so she can scan them to Alicia, so we don't have to start tracing those down on the 1st of March. And we got to give some thought, board, on what we want to do for parking downtown. Probably won't be, it's set up to have meters. We talked about having kiosks when we have the project done. But Nancy, you did a lot of research on kiosks at one time, and I've got some information. So I think at the next meeting, be prepared to talk about what we want to do down there. So we can get everybody's thoughts on it. And we've got to come up with some kind of a name for the vacant lot between Bella's and Key Bank. It's hard to, when you tell somebody when you need something down there, it's a vacant lot or at the end of James Street, something. And Bella's is 603 Riverside. Key Bank is 538. And I checked with the assessor's office, and that lot used to be 544 Riverside Drive. So the new building the new condos downtown is just 610 Riverside. So maybe this could be 544 Riverside. I don't know. But we got to come up with some kind of a name so we don't kind of stumble around telling people.
Why don't we come up with that? Why don't we come up with a contest?
Well, we can.
Yeah, see, get the village's input on it and see what they would like to name it.
Okay, the chamber was, I asked it at the chamber meeting as well. You know, see, and they have the resources down there to get out to a lot of people to come up with something. I'd be glad to ask them to come up with some rules or some ideas. But I think we just need, I mean, we've got Centennial Park, we've got Rotary Park, we've got Veterans Park. We just need something for that spot down there.
Danforth Park?
I don't think so.
You donate that lot or something?
What was that, Jared?
Did he donate or sell that lot to us?
Yeah, well, let's think about it and come back to the meeting next week, and I'll ask it.
He
Can I ask
sold
the
it to us.
chief? Pardon?
No, Jeremy was asking, did he donate it or was it sold to us? It was sold to us.
No, we bought it. The village bought the lot 2 or 3 years ago. But it needs something down there, I think. And the historian has been working on the 2022 celebration of the 150th birthday of the village. He's got some ideas and everything, so I think it would need some support from the village to make it happen. I don't know what we can do, but he thinks that we should, and he wants to. I mean, there's a lot of history here, and they did a really big thing when it was 100 years old, so this is kind of in between, and I don't think it has to be any big splash, but we gotta maybe think about doing something. And look in town for the ice sculptures that are being done. I noticed the one down at on John Street Saturday. I don't know if they've got them done yet or not. I didn't swing by today, but there will be 3. It's being sponsored by I think River Muse Gallery. Kind of got that together. Does anyone else on the board have anything that they want to talk about before we do our executive session?
Yes, the budget meeting is the 12th.
Yeah.
Would that be over telephone or computer, or would?
Yeah, it'd have to be online. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remote.
Oh, okay.
What's the executive session for?
Pardon?
What's the executive session for?
Personnel issue.
Oh, and that's fine. So I do have a question before we go to executive session. We had an executive session about the lyric and we never came to a conclusion. And we haven't heard anything more to make any decisions. Yeah. I was just curious as to what's going on with that.
You're going to have to help me out, Nancy. I'm having a little malfunction here with my iPad. Try it again.
We didn't hear anything more about the lyric, and we had executive session.
Well, I think that would be in the executive session, probably. I mean, I haven't heard anything more either, so.
Because we were waiting, hopefully, to get a meeting, I thought, with National Grid.
I haven't got anything really new to talk about.
Okay. Because I would suspect at some point they'll come back and say, you know, we asked for these things and what have you all decided?
I think if it's got a legal issue to it, Nancy, we better finish it up in the executive session.
Okay. All right.
Anything else before we do the executive session? Okay, so